Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Americanisms. We are talking about what makes an American, what's on our minds, what we like, what we hate. Anyway, we have our guest, Leon. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. How's it going?
Going well. How are you today?
Awesome. No, not bad too. Hey, everyone.
All right, so let's get started. Let's talk more about what's on the mind of an American, what it's like to live in the US, anything related to being American. And so let's get started. Uh,
Okay.
what would you like to talk about, Leon? What's on your mind?
Oh, uh, one thing I do want to say is because this is so American, right? They even see this in films and kids' films is the peanut butter and jam sandwiches or peanut butter and jam sandwiches.
Hmm.
Is it really that good? Do Americans really eat that? Yeah, I mean, since a child, I've always eat peanut butter jam sandwiches or even just peanut butter sandwiches. It's
Hmm.
really good growing up, and adults eat it too because they grew up with it. So it's very American. A lot of people can't, picture of eating peanut butter jam sandwiches. Is it too sweet? Is it really that good? We pack that during lunchtime because it's easy to make for the parents, right? So what's your take on that?
Yes, it is definitely something that kids love. But and I used to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches as well. But as an adult, I started eating it again when I was a triathlete because my coach told me, he said, everything you need for energy is in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You have the simple sugar, which you need if you just need quick energy, right? Plus you have the good fat from the peanut butter, and plus you got the bread. All of that gives you energy. And so what I would do is I would have like a peanut butter jelly sandwich before, not like right before, but maybe like an hour before going on a hike or a run or whatever training I need to do. And you would be surprised how much energy you have. So I did it for that reason. I continued to eat and we call it PBJ, by the way. They even shorten it to
Yes,
PBJ. it's
exactly.
definitely a thing.
hmm Yeah, I mean, going to the gym, it's very, I guess, nutritionist. Like, if you want to gain weight and stuff like that, it's always good to have those peanut butter sandwiches, and even with protein, right? So, yeah.
You can guilt the lily by adding sliced bananas on your peanut butter and jelly, your PBJ sandwich.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, Along the lines of eating. Um, what about, okay, people go to restaurants in America who are not American, and they're always really surprised at how much food you get. Um, do you find that, let's say your non-American friends, have they ever mentioned this before? Like, why are the portions so big? Like the plates are huge. It looks like it could feed a family, right? Um,
Yeah, they're amazed by it. I mean, when they come and visit United States and they order the food, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so much, for the price. Sometimes they have to share with another person because it's just too much. We like them big, right? We like to uh, get our money's worth. So I guess that's part of our culture. That's why we get everything big, including sodas, right? We get it like in McDonald's, right? Super size. So
yeah.
yeah.
Hey, what's interesting? You said McDonald's supersized. I've noticed like the large is larger in the US than it is in other countries. So like if you go to McDonald's in other countries,
Yes,
their large is not no, their large is like the American medium.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um
that's so funny because when I ordered a medium and I mean I ordered a large and I get a medium size, I'm like, this is a large? And they say, yeah, that's a large. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like a medium, sometimes even a small in the US. Yeah.
yes. And what about like those drinks at 7-Eleven, the corner store? Those they have like super gigantic big gulps. I don't know how there's some version of the big gulp that is like so big you can like step into it, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I love the 7-Eleven. I miss 7-Eleven. I mean, you can order things there, something cheap. Even a hot dog, their hot dog isn't too bad. And that's
Mhm.
another thing too. A lot of people here, especially in Brazil, they say hot dog. I mean, American hot dog is really bland. All they do is, put mustard and ketchup and maybe onions, and that's it. And here, here in Brazil, the standard hot dog is like they put in like you know, a bunch of ground meat, like kind of looks like a chili for us. And then they put like potatoes, sticks and corn and yeah, I mean they put a lot of things in it. Onions, maybe tomatoes. I mean, it's huge. You can't even see the hot dog. You can't even see the bread. That's how
Oh,
big
it's
it
like
is.
all this topping on top, right?
Yes, uh-huh.
Oh, interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. And they say, oh, American hot dogs. I mean, it's nothing. And I have to tell them, I have to educate them. Hey, this is just kind of a standard. We have relish too. We have onions. I mean, you can go to other hot dog stands, and there's different type of varieties. There's a Chicago hot dog, New York hot dog. I mean, they put in a lot of other type of toppings. So it really depends. What are you considering a true American hot dog? That's just the standard,
Oh,
ketchup, mustard, relish.
I do like a grilled hot dog, like on the grill with the lines. Oh yeah, that's not.
Yes. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, speaking of hot dogs, I haven't had a hot dog in years. Certainly not outside the U.S. And I've been out for a few years. But you know what kind of hot dog I miss? And it's like good and it's very accessible, and people love this hot dog, and it's cheap. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the street vendor hot dogs.
Yeah, the Costco one.
Oh, the Costco. Oh, okay. Because I'm thinking of the street vendors
Like,
because the street vendors is really good.
yeah,
Yeah,
same.
but the Costco, I know that too. That's really cheap. Yeah.
It's really cheap because it's been the same price for like, well, I don't know, 20 or 30 years. Isn't it like a buck
hmm
50 with a soda and a hot dog? And I don't know,
Yeah,
it's
exactly. $1.50. Yeah. It's the cheapest thing you can get. Yeah.
yeah, it's so anyway, I like that. And I like hot dogs with onions, relish, ketchup, mustard. I
hmm
feel like that's the all-American topping, right?
Yeah. Right. And the thing too, I mean, Dodger Stadium, for me, I think they have the best hot dog. I don't know what it is,
Oh, Dodger.
but the Dodger Stadium hot dogs to me is the best. And even though it's very plain,
Uh,
ketchup, mustard,
uh-huh.
for some reason it tastes really good compared to other hot dog stands or anywhere outside in it or anywhere in LA. Mm.
Um, yes, people love the Dodger dog. That's why it even has its own name.
hmm
Okay, two things. I wonder if the Dodger dog is really good because like maybe it has something to do with the bun as well. But
Yes.
but
True.
also there's just something about like you're at Dodger Stadium, you're watching a game, the excitement. And I kind of tend to think that food tastes better outdoors anyway. And so you're in that environment. And so it's the
Mm.
vibe too, right? It's not just the
hmm
food, it just tastes
hmm
better.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you ever tasted the New York hot dogs, the street vendors when you're walking in New York? Because their hot dog is pretty good too, but for
Yes.
some reason I still think that the Dodger dog is
It's
my
better.
favorite. I don't know. Yeah.
Uh, okay. And you mentioned street vendor, and there's this thing that people say Americans love to eat like while walking, kind of like when you're walking by the street vendor, you're
Yeah.
picking up a hot dog, and I suppose you're walking around eating this hot dog, right?
hmm hmm
And
Right.
Americans like doing that. They like walking around eating. They don't necessarily park themselves at a table to eat. They're
hmm hmm
multitasking in a way, right?
Yeah, and then also on the street vendor, you may if you're not walking, you may end up just standing. You'll just stand
Mhm.
by the vendor and just eat your hot dog and then maybe talk to other strangers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a real American thing. That's that street vendor hot dog with that cart, the umbrella,
Yes.
the condiments. Yes.
hmm Yeah. Especially after a club, right? You go to a club or somewhere at nighttime and you're starving, and there's a lot of places that's closed. So, but the street vendor is right there, waiting for you. So it's like $5 for a
Yes.
hot dog. Yeah.
And those hot dogs smell extra good at
hmm
2 a.m. after you've been drinking.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what else? What about uh, what about coffee? Now, I think it's gotten a lot better in the last 10 years, 10, 20 years. But I think
hmm
that years ago, and there's still some places like this in the US where the coffee is just horrific. I don't know if you're a coffee drinker, but for example, if you go to just like a coffee shop, it's so funny that they call them coffee shops, but it's actually like almost like a diner where you go for like breakfast food, but they call them coffee shops. And ironically, the coffee is really bad in those places. They're
Mm,
so dilute and it tastes like tea. But anyway, I think that for a long time, the standard kind of coffee that you would get at a typical place in America was pretty bad, but it's
mm,
improved. And I actually find Starbucks to be rather, it's quite drinkable, especially when you get the espresso, which is all I get anyway. I just get the espresso and I like it. And I find myself going to get a Starbucks espresso when I'm in other countries as well. And people have been like, why do you do that? Why do you go to Starbucks? And I'm like, because it's consistent. What do you like? What do you think
mm.
of coffee in America?
I love the coffee in America. I mean, but I'm not much of a coffee drinker. I did, but stopped. And now that I'm in Brazil, I'm going back into coffee because they make one of the best coffees. So I am doing that. But if I was in the US, I tend to drink more of the iced coffee. Some
Uh,
people say ice, like especially here in Brazil, they can't even picture having iced coffee. But yeah, iced coffee is really good for me. I enjoy it. For me, here's another thing, because you said you're a coffee drinker. Pete's
yeah.
Coffee. I heard Pete's Coffee is one of the best. So some people like Starbucks because of the brand and people that's around eating it. I mean, it's more of a social thing than it is. It's more of a hip thing than it is more of the true flavor or the how good the coffee really is. I think it's more of just being in the it crowd.
Yeah, yes, Pete's is from Northern California as well, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Is it?
I
Or is
believe
it?
so. I don't
No.
know if it's there or if it's from Seattle.
Okay. Anyway, yes. Pete's is really good because it's strong. It's strong and it's flavorful. So I do like Pete's a lot. But although it's a chain, it's not as prevalent as Starbucks. And so I just end up going to Starbucks because they're unavoidable, right? They're everywhere.
Hmm. Hmm.
But yes, Pete's is better.
Exactly. Hmm. Oh, so it is pizza's better, huh? Okay, got it. Good to
Yeah,
know.
I think
Yeah.
it's better.
Hmm.
And then there's these newer generation coffee places like Phil's, which I can't stand. I don't like.
Mm.
Have you been to Phil's?
No, I haven't. What's that about?
So that's another one of these coffee places. But what they do is, so like you go to the counter to order. No, wait, you go pay. You pay first, and then you they when they're ready to make your coffee, they'll call your name, and you go to the counter like you would go to like when you're at a bank and you go to the teller. It's like that. You
Hmm.
go to the guy. You go to the guy or girl, whatever, at the counter, and you just watch them making your coffee. But what's weird is like, for example, if I just order a black coffee, they won't just pour you a black coffee. They do this thing where they just pour it out of one cup to the next to the and back, back and forth like they're just.
Oh, yeah.
Have you
Right.
seen this? And I'm like, what are you doing that? What does that do to the coffee? I don't know, but it doesn't. It's not
Mm.
that. And the other thing is that it's expensive too. So, but it doesn't taste
Mm.
better.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen coffee shops do that where they pour one coffee to another. But again, that's just depends on the coffee shop. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I never knew that they actually did that at Phil's. Mm. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Um. What else?
What about like when people say, I also see this and heard this, like when people say, "So where are you from?" And a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm from Germany," or "I'm from France." But for us, we tend to say where we actually are, like, "Oh, we're from California," "We're from Texas," or "I'm from Florida." Or sometimes they say more specific, "I'm from Miami," "I'm from New York," or "I'm from Chicago." We don't really say, "Oh, I'm from the U.S." Right?
Right. Right.
Yeah. What
Well,
what what do you think we tend to do that more? Is it because we think that everybody knows the United States, the cities, or yeah, yeah, I mean somebody asked me that and also seen it too about people asking and never really gave it a thought. Yeah.
when people ask you in Brazil where are you from, what do you say?
I said I'm from LA. Yeah.
Okay. Do they know LA?
Yeah, I mean they know Los Angeles, yeah. I say Los Angeles. Uh-huh. If
Okay.
that I
So
usually say LA, Los Angeles, California. Yeah, they automatically know. Yeah, they love Los Angeles, they love California.
okay.
So yeah.
Because some people, I mean, most people know LA is Los Angeles, but some people may, I've spoken with some people who didn't know what LA was. And I said Los Angeles, and they go, oh, okay.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But let's see, what do I say? Sometimes I'll say I'm American. Sometimes I'll say I'm from LA. It just depends. But yes, I know what you mean. And I think the reason why maybe Americans like to be very specific as to where they're from is because the US is a really big country and there are a lot of different identities, right? Like a Californian
Hmm.
is really
Hmm.
different from a New Yorker. And so maybe people tell you where they're from specifically, precisely where they're from, because they feel very like they really identify with that place,
Hmm.
um, right? So
Hmm. Yeah, for me, every time when people ask me, where are you from? I say Los Angeles, California, or I just say Los Angeles.
yeah,
Sometimes I even say LA, California, because sometimes just to make sure they understand where LA is. But most of the time I say I'm from LA. I'm
yeah,
from the UL. Yeah, basically I'm from LA. A lot of people say, "Oh, he's from California." I don't even consider California. I even say, no, I'm from LA. Because California, we have San Francisco. I don't want them understanding that I'm from the northern part because
yeah,
we have this thing between north and south for
yeah.
whatever reason, right? So I tend to be more specific and say I'm from LA because I don't want to say California. Because to me, if I say California, people may think I'm from San Francisco or northern part. I like, or I really like to be specific. Yeah.
Yes, because Northern California is so different from Southern California.
Yes. Yeah. Hmm.
I
Yeah.
remember when we were kids, they used to talk about what if the state were to split into two, that it would seed into two states, Northern California being its own state and Southern California being its own state, because we're so different.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah, I'm all for it. How about you?
Oh, at this point, I don't care. But yes, when I was a kid,
Uh,
I thought, yeah, when I was younger, I thought, yeah, why not? Why not split the state?
mhm.
Because there are political differences as well, and mindset can be different as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, just the people itself, the people how they dress, the people how they think, and yeah, just everything. They don't like us and some of us don't like them. So I think it's more of a jealousy thing because they think that we don't dress nice because all we do is wear shorts and t-shirts and not fashionable and they think that we're lazy and laid back and and then here they are they think they're better because they dress nicer because of the colder weather and yeah, many things in that aspect.
Yeah, there's definitely a rivalry between North and South.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It'd be good to separate it too because California is so big, and when we want to travel anywhere outside of LA, I mean, by car, we
Hmm.
furthest we go is Vegas or maybe Colorado, Utah. Unlike if you're in New York, you got so many states there that you can visit. You can visit maybe like 13 states or something in a short period of time. But for us, we probably can only visit two states in a
Yeah,
short period of time. Yeah.
just I think if you were to drive from the very southern part of California, which would be San Diego, a big.
Hmm.
If you were to drive from San Diego all the way up the state of California to the border of Oregon, I don't even know if you can do it in 12 hours. I think it might be,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like it might be
Mhm.
14 hours even. It's a long, big state.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
14 hours sounds reasonable. Yeah.
I've never even done
Depends.
it.
Yeah, depends on how fast you drive. I
Yeah.
mean, you can take the Highway 5 from LA to San Francisco and be there maybe 6 hours.
Yeah, that's how long
And
it
if you
took.
take the PCH, it's probably like 8 hours or a little over 8 hours. That's just getting to San Francisco. Then you got to drive further north just to go to Oregon. So you're looking at least more than five
Yeah.
hours, I guess. Yeah. Or
Um,
maybe not, maybe 4 hours.
I don't know. You know what? I think I might have done the PCH route, which is the coastal route, which
Mhm.
is the non-highway route, the scenic route along the ocean. Yes, it is beautiful,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
honestly, although it is really beautiful, at a certain point you're like, let's just get there because there aren't
yeah,
services either. There aren't as many places where you can stop and get food and all that.
hmm I mean, if you are not in a hurry and you want to see go sightseeing,
Yeah,
see beautiful California, then definitely take PCH. It's one
yeah,
of the most beautiful
iconic.
scenery. Yeah, iconic scenery. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the best. So I highly recommend you at least doing that one time. But
Yes,
like you said, if you want to get to one point to another and you don't care for that because of time, then yeah, definitely do Highway 5. Yeah.
I would also advise that if you were to take PCH, Pacific Coast Highway, that's what PCH stands for. Yes, it's
Mhm.
beautiful, but don't do it in a day from LA or Southern California to Northern California, because that's where I went wrong. Is you hope to
Mm,
get in a day, then it's just like endless and it's not enjoyable. You're supposed to actually make it maybe into a 2 day, 2 or 3 day trip along the coast. Take your
mhm,
time, right?
mhm.
But just trying to get there, don't go that route.
Yeah. And while you're doing that in 2 days, I mean, there's plenty of things to see there. I mean, there's the mission, right?
Oh,
The
for sure.
mission that goes from San Juan Capistrano to all the way. I don't know what mission it is up there, but the popular one, but it can go all the way up to Carmel and even more. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's gorgeous.
hmm
People visit California. They'll sometimes do that road trip, and it's memorable to them, and for
hmm
good, because it is stunning. It's stunning.
hmm hmm Yeah,
Um,
Carmel's a beautiful city,
Carmel
small town city.
is
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Uh-huh.
Um, Also, like along this is what I've noticed when it comes to interstate driving on the interstate, road trips in the US, is that when you're on the major highways, like for example, the 5 going up California, right? Uh,
hmm
or the 10 going across the country going east, between running east west. These major highways, there are always a lot of stops, and then there are always a lot of like food options, and like there's a lot of stuff, right? But I've noticed,
hmm
like, I've done road trips and I've driven a lot, for example, in Europe. Well, first of all, it's not as easy. Like, yes, you don't have to travel very far to get to the next town, but in the dead sections, there aren't like these stops. Like when you go up the 5, there are a bunch of stops that are like dedicated. Okay, fast food. It's designed for travelers to just get in and out quickly. You know what I mean?
hmm
You can fuel up, you can get your food, and there, the change. Excuse me, the chains, the usual suspects, like McDonald's, Burger King, whatever, Popeyes, Starbucks. They're all there. And
hmm
there's that infrastructure for travelers along the highway, whereas I don't see that as much on the road trips that I've been on in Europe along the highway. And sometimes you have
hmm
to exit, and it's kind of tedious.
hmm hmm Okay. Is it safe going from one highway to another, going from one country to country? I know because it's some parts of Italy, it can be dangerous, right? I mean, there could be bandits or people, trying to pull you over and rob you and things like that. Uh, is that pretty common in some parts of Italy?
You know what? I've not had a problem driving around Italy, and I have
hmm
driven many places in Italy, except the southeastern, yeah, except the southeastern coast.
mm
But no, driving around Italy is fine, because the reason is because if you like, there are toll roads, right? They call them the
hmm
autostrada. Uh,
mm hmm
and if you stay on that, it's actually pretty good. It's
hmm
just that the stops, there may be one or two choices for food, and it's
mm
in America where you're gonna have like 6, 12. You know what I mean? They're just
hmm
small. But the other thing about road trips in Italy is that it can get quite expensive, because because of the tolls. The tolls are expensive. Unlike in America, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel like the tolls in America are as expensive.
mm
And certainly on the West Coast, there are no tolls.
In Orange County, there is. It can be expensive if you're using it quite often. Like
Oh, or 71 or what that?
yeah, the 71. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
But that's just so that you can bypass traffic, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's a small distance too. It's a small portion or a small distance. So, and it's pretty expensive. I don't know. Last time I paid there, it was like somewhere in the $4.
Or how? What is the?
Probably almost. The distance is probably give or take 10 miles, maybe
Okay, okay,
10 to 15 miles, maybe.
so that's like comparable to what you would be paying in Italy,
Okay.
which is expensive because everything's cheaper in Italy, right? So,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah,
but
nice.
but at least gas is cheaper in the U.S. compared to, for example, Europe, but still expensive compared to like some countries like in South America or in the Middle East.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, what was the gas price when you left? Because I mean, I saw that because during the pandemic and everything like that, it went up as high as like $7
Yes,
per
yeah.
gallon. Yeah. Yeah,
Well, after
that's
I left, it went
expensive. Yeah.
$7.
Wow.
I I think right now it's maybe in the sixes, like six
Hmm.
dollars something a gallon, which is 3.7 liters.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I
So
was living. Go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I was driving from like Orange County, like Laguna Beach, for example,
Hmm.
and when I was working in downtown and it's far, I
Wow.
was like the gas price at that time when I was driving, it was like close to $5, $4 something. So I would be spending like 70 to $80 per week. Yeah, just
Okay,
on the gas. Yeah,
that's a lot. Okay.
yeah, because
Um,
I was depends on where I was living. Yeah.
right. That's a long drive. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's six something right now a gallon, and then but
Hmm.
like in Italy, it's like once, let's say on average once, let me calculate this, a €1 70 per liter times 3.7 comes out to about, okay, so it's like $6 to $7 a gallon equivalent in Italy.
Hmm.
So it's
Wow.
because gas prices have risen in the US.
Hmm.
It's on par now with gas prices in Europe. However,
Hmm.
what was I going to say? Um, there's still the euro conversion, so I don't know. I think it's still a little bit more. It still
Hmm.
costs Europe for gas.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Wow. And why is it like in Europe? I mean, when you see people, I mean, when you see Americans, do you see a lot of Americans are always like maybe smiling and cheerful when they're walking or something like that, like always looking happy? Do you notice that in Italy or when you travel in Europe around Europe?
Yeah, so here's the thing, right? Like um, when Americans visit Europe or Italy, I think they're usually really blown away. So they're really happy because it's so beautiful. Because when you visit Italy as a tourist, when you're in Italy as a tourist, it's really a special thing. It's amazing. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because the thing of it is that as a tourist, you get to see the beautiful veneer of Italy. But I think at the same time, as a tourist of any country, you always just are seeing the surface. And
Hmm.
so the surface tends to be pretty good. If they can't even make the surface look good for tourists, then it's really a dump, the country. You know what I mean? But
Right.
so so on the surface, Italy is amazing, and so you have these Americans that come and they're like blown away. I rarely have spoken with Americans who just go as a tourist, who don't like it. I've spoken to plenty who don't like it, and for living, but I've not spoken to anybody who doesn't love Italy for just as a tourist. And so the ones that I see, the ones that I encounter, yeah, they're always real happy and cheerful and friendly because I don't know, maybe the stereotype also is that I think that Americans tend to have a friendly disposition. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree too. Because even in the U.S., right, a lot of Americans are always smiling, always cheerful. I think it's not just outside of the U.S., but in the U.S. itself too. Again,
Yeah.
it's just our nature. Like you said, we're very friendly, we're outgoing, we like to be outdoors, talk to people, small talk, and greet people. It's just our nature of being friendly. So a lot of Europeans don't understand that. Like for example, if an American was to travel to Russia and you're there smiling and you smile at them, even say hi. I mean, Russian people probably think you're crazy. Like, who's this lunatic? What's he so happy about? And
Mhm.
not just in Russia, but other countries too. So um, they may think you're crazy because you're smiling. Yeah.
I think because, at least when I was growing up, uh, we were told as kids, you do have to be friendly, you have to smile, you have to be social, because otherwise it's bad manners. You're perceived as weird, uh,
Hmm.
and strange if you are the type of American who walks around with a nasty look on your face, or who is afraid to make eye contact with strangers, appropriate eye contact, and who's afraid to just, if you don't know how to make small talk in an elevator, I suppose, you know what I mean? Like for me,
Hmm.
it's strange when you go into a small space with somebody and nobody says anything. It'll always be the American that'll walk into an elevator and say, hi, how's everybody doing? But nobody else would do
Hmm.
that. American, probably.
No. Yeah. And probably it's because we get disciplined too, right? For going in schools, we're there to make sure we're on time and sitting on the chair. When the teacher tells us to be quiet, we be quiet. So everything that the teacher says, we tend to listen. Other parts of the country, I mean, they don't respect teachers or they don't listen to teachers, and people are late and they don't get detention. They could be coming in and inside a classroom 15 minutes late as if nothing, nothing is happening. It's okay. You just go about and sit on your chair and your desk and just listen, and you're 15, 20 minutes late. In US, that doesn't fly, right? I mean, you get detention, you're getting go to the principal's office probably or something. Um, and if you're talking, teacher says, okay, everybody be quiet, and everybody keeps talking and they don't respect the teachers. I mean, a lot of schools in different countries do this. It's like the teacher doesn't even exist. In
Oh,
in
really?
US, we get really disciplined. If you don't listen, go to the principal's office. Okay, you get detention. I mean,
Mhm.
you learn in a young age. Yeah.
Yeah. What's really funny is, when we were kids, all of us, we would always be like really afraid of the principal, right?
Yeah.
And now I think, man, I really would not want to be the principal of a school. Like, I really don't want kids coming to my office where I'm having to tell them, stop doing this. Like, that's not fun. That's not interesting.
Mhm.
Like, as an adult now,
Yeah.
I don't envy you being a principal, although I was afraid of you when I was a kid.
Right. Yeah, one thing about principal, I mean, it's all the negative stuff that they're going to be hearing, because the only time the student's going to visit the principal really is this the child is in trouble, right? Whether
Yeah.
it's getting in a fight or not listening to teacher or whatever it may be. The only time that student is going to be seeing a principal is he's in trouble or she's in trouble.
Yeah.
So it's not pleasant for the principal. Yeah, he
Yes.
sees negativity every day. Yeah.
I think about how, if I were the principal, I'd be like, why are you coming to my office? Go back to your teacher. Have him take care of it. I don't know what I'd be a
Right.
bad principal.
Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Funny. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, well, what else? Oh, what about this idea that, okay, we're talking about schools, that Americans, why is it that we can only speak English? Because, right, because like if you go anywhere else in other countries, most people, especially in Europe, they can usually speak two to three languages, whereas they make fun of Americans as, you guys can only speak, one language. What's going on with you guys? Why do you guys not want to learn other languages? We get some heat for that, right?
Yeah, we do. And a lot of listeners out there, you're not going to want to listen to what I have to say, but a lot of Americans have no interest in learning a different or second language. The reason because is they don't really want to travel outside of the US. A lot of them can't travel outside of the US, right? Only the people who can travel outside of the US are people who has really good professional income, or maybe they aspire to go visit. A lot of them have the money, bottom line. A lot of Americans don't have the money to spend to go to Europe. They'd rather spend their money to visit another state, because we have 50 states and they
Mm,
haven't seen all those 50 states. We have everything in the US. So to them, it's like, why am I going to go to Europe and spend my American dollar and spend it on another foreign country, while I can spend it here in USA and use my money to help USA? We can go to Hawaii, right? Hawaii is one of the states. It's beautiful. Can go to tropical. I mean, you can go pretty much anywhere. We
Hmm.
get it, and everybody speaks English. We don't have to try and learn a person's, you know, culture or language because we just go from one state to another. It's all American. I go to Hawaii, it's an American. I don't have to speak any other language. I don't have to learn other culture. I'm still like, it feels like different. I go to Puerto Rico, right? It's a U.S. territory. Yeah, they speak Spanish, but a lot of them speaks English. So I get away with it, right?
Hmm.
Culture maybe it's slightly different, but I still get away with it. So I think because a lot of Americans don't have the money uh, and they can't travel, so they travel within the U.S. And I think that's why a lot of them don't really want to learn the having to learn a second language. It's like to them, it's like, why? Why do I need to learn a second language? I'm not gonna go to Europe. I may go to Mexico, but maybe not. You know, I go to TJ, which is
Yeah.
Tijuana, Mexico.
Yeah.
Everybody there pretty much speaks English. When you go there, it almost looks like San Diego. Doesn't even
Oh,
look like Mexico, right?
mhm.
I mean,
I
that's my personal point of view. Yeah.
I think also because, well, Americans are very lucky in that our native language happens to be also the language of the world. And so we,
Yes, we're privileged by it.
yeah,
Yeah.
really, really, we are really lucky in that it happens,
Yes.
also I would argue, the most important language in the world, and it's happens to
Yes.
be native language. And so they feel like, okay, I already know the top language in the world. What else do I need to know? I'm not agreeing with that. I'm just saying that some people think that. And also, America is such a big country. It's sort of like its own continent, right? And
Exactly.
so so they're very isolated, right? You think America, the physical borders is with two countries, Canada and Mexico, whereas you have, and there are great distances between these two countries, right? Because America is so big, whereas if you're from Europe, you know, you don't have to travel far to get to three other countries, and so maybe that's why they have more exposure also to the people who speak other languages as well. And maybe
hmm
when we travel around to different states, we're still speaking English, but in less kilometers, in less miles in Europe, they've encountered three other different languages, so there's more of a mixing, I think.
And different states have different cultures too, right? You go to the South, they have a different type of culture. It's an American culture, but it's different. Even the food is different, right? Music, everything is different. So to them, it's like I want to learn that. I want to learn my American roots and I want to learn my American, history and things like that. And I've never been there. So why would I travel to Europe or travel somewhere outside of the United States? Well, I don't even know my own country. So let me visit my country first before I go to outside of the United States. A lot of Americans think this way. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Again, because America is so big, and
Yes.
there, each state is like a country, and not even a small country, because each
hmm hmm
states can be quite big. And so yeah, and like for example, you were talking about the South, and yeah, I
Yeah.
feel South is really, it's so different, right? Like from us,
Yes.
California, even the way they talk, where we're kind of like, so okay, I think I heard that people are charmed by the Southern accent. Um,
hmm
would you agree or disagree with that? Like, do you like the Southern accent?
I love the Southern accent. To be honestly, my favorite American accent is the country accent. For me,
Ah,
that's my number one. I love country accent. I mean, I'm not just talking about just regular country. I'm talking about really thick country accent. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Mhm.
I like that too as well. Yeah, and I
Mhm.
like Southern accent, and they've done
Yeah, Southern accent, awesome. Yeah, I agree with you.
they just sound friendlier. I'm not saying like for like 100% it's a fact they are, but we think that they are, and they've done studies where if somebody gets a rep on the phone when you call customer service, if you get like a Southern accent, people
hmm
like feel more comfortable talking to somebody with a Southern accent, and I can agree with that because whenever I call customer service for something and I hear somebody, the representative speaking with a Southern accent, I'm like, hey, okay, I'm going to be taken care of. They have that's the stereotype, right? Like they're going to take care
hmm
of. And so, yeah, I do like the Southern accent.
Yeah, I visited ATL, Atlanta,
Yeah,
Georgia, and when I visited, I was like, okay, I'm gonna listen to Southern accent. I'm gonna get the Southern hospitality. And when
yeah.
I was there, I didn't get any Southern
Oh, no.
hospitality. I was actually disappointed. Yeah, I didn't get any of that. I was like, I was so disappointed. I was even telling the people from Atlanta, it's like, you guys say that you guys have Southern hospitality. I don't see the Southern hospitality. I was telling them. Maybe if I was in Savannah,
Yeah.
Georgia, I'd probably see it.
Hmm.
But when I was in Atlanta, I didn't see any Southern hospitality, to be
Uh,
honest with you. Yeah. I was
maybe.
really disappointed. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Maybe because Atlanta is such a big city, and it doesn't necessarily, have that southernness of
Yeah.
it as much as, say, like if you went to Charleston, I think you might get
Hmm.
that. Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
but I love the South. I love the way it looks, the landscape, the architecture. It's just, I
Hmm.
love it.
Yeah, I love the South too, and their accent. I mean, Southern accent, like you said. I mean, it's really nice to listen to. The food, especially the food, the Southern food is
Mhm.
really great. But you said like every state is different. It's like another country. Yeah, just go to Miami. People say when they go to Miami, it's like another country. It's not even like U.S. Even Louisiana too. It can be different too. So yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Wait a minute. It is Florida considered the South, or it's its own?
Yeah,
It is.
it's called the South. Yeah, it's weird, but yes, it's called the
I
South.
I
Florida
suppose.
doesn't think so. The Floridans don't think that they're considered the South,
I
but
don't.
actually they are the South. For me, it doesn't seem like they should be the South.
Geographically they are, but I feel like they're their own thing,
Yeah,
especially
I agree.
like Miami is definitely its own thing.
Oh wait, I lost you there. Well, I lost you there for a bit.
But just what I was saying is that yes, I think maybe geographically Florida can
Hmm.
be considered the South, but culturally I feel like they are not like Southerners. They're their own thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Hawaii is nice too. I mean, that's a different culture right there. Yeah.
Totally, yeah, totally different.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Accent is different too, right?
yes, it's very different.
Uh-huh.
It's I don't know what that accent is. It's like a because their language is kind of well, the population is sort of very hybridized, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and there's a lot of Japanese influence in Hawaii,
Yes,
in their food, in their
a
culture.
huge community. Uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand too about American accent. I mean, we have over 30 major accents, and that's
oh,
just,
right?
in general. But we have more than that. But I mean, we have the South, we have, Chicago, Minnesota, we have New York. New York, there's even like accent with the Bronx, the Brooklyn, and Manhattan, and then you got Boston, and you know, all of that, even LA, we have different accent. Not many people understand that either, right? We
Yeah.
have the whole Hollywood standard accent. We have the gang member kind
Oh,
of accent, the Chicano. These are all natives that I'm speaking of.
right.
Kind of have that Chicano gang accent. You have
Mm.
the Asian American accent, the Middle Eastern
True.
American accent. So we have all kinds of accents in, but one thing that does distinguish us is that we have a silent T. We don't pronounce the T compared to other places. Yeah.
Compared to the
That's how you
British.
can kind of that's how you can kind of tell that we're from the West Coast is that we don't pronounce the T. Yeah.
Wait a second. Give me an example. So we
Like
say, yeah, give me an
that,
example.
like that.
Oh, okay. Versus how
Yeah.
would they say it in New York? Like that. Oh, like that?
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
That?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh,
They pronounce the T, whatever it is. Like cat, cat. Yeah. Or
oh,
thought, thought. Yeah.
okay. Didn't
Yeah.
realize.
So when you can see a West Coast person, they don't pronounce the T. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to pay attention. I never even thought of that. Okay.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
wh- what I did realize is, for example, the way somebody from the West Coast will uh, talk about a highway. Like we'll say on the five, five being the name
Mhm.
of the highway, the number five. We'll say
Yeah.
on the five. But like
Uh-huh.
in the East Coast, they don't say the 95. They'll say on 95. They don't
Uh-huh.
say
Yeah. The five freeway, the 405.
we
Yes.
They don't in the East Coast. They don't say the. They say, oh well, the highway on the East Coast would be like 90 or 95. I think it's 95. So
Mm,
on 90 on Highway 95 or on 95, they won't say on the.
mm-hmm, mm, mm-hmm. Ah, interesting.
Yeah,
Mm,
it's regional differences. Um, okay, looks like we are up on time. But hey,
mm-hmm.
that was a fun conversation, Leon. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you too.
All right. And thank you, everybody, for joining. We're going to be back with another episode of Americanism soon, so stay tuned. But thank you so much for listening today. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope that you guys enjoyed our conversation. Thank you once again, Leon.
Yeah, thank you too, Ben. I appreciate it. And thanks everyone for listening. Have a good one.
Okay. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Ciao.